A TikTok creator with over 2 million followers has just been jailed for 2 years in Indonesia after she posted a video of her saying an Islamic phrase before eating pork. And not only that, but she also faces a $16,000 fine which could extend her jail sentence by 3 months if she can't pay. In the video, she says Bismillah, which is an Arabic phrase that means in the name of God, before eating crispy pork skin, which she said she tried out of curiosity. The video blew up, got millions of views, and she was subsequently reported to the police for knowingly eating pork skin as a Muslim. An Indonesian court said that she was found guilty of inciting hatred against religious individuals and specific groups. The 33-year-old was surprised with the verdict, saying, "I know that I am wrong, but I did not expect this punishment." So the question is, do you think her sentence was harsh or fair?
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Ronaldo Dogsa, a politician in the Philippines, took a picture of his family right before he was assassinated on New Year's Day in 2011. The man in the back shot him twice while his family was forced to watch. The man holding the puppy is Yukio Araki, a kamikaze pilot who just 1 day later would crash into the USS Brian, killing 66 of the crew members and taking his own life. Yukio was only 17 years old, knowing completely well that he'd be going to his death the next day. The smiling man in this photo is Nazi Joseph Goebbels, who is in a 1933 League of Nations meeting, and in the next photo, his expression completely changes. His expression changes from cheerful to hatred because someone told him that the photographer was of Jewish descent. This seemingly normal photo shows 3 men in judo attire. The man on the right, however, is Osama bin Laden, the terrorist responsible for the 9/11 attacks on New York City. The girl wearing the veil is Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped for 9 months by the man on the far right. This photo was taken at a party the kidnapper crashed with Elizabeth, and she was forced to wear this veil at all times to keep her from being recognized in public.
The thing that shocked me the most was the closet inside Gypsy's house.
I was like, holy y'all need to get it over here right now and look at this. I mean, my mouth dropped. From the top to the bottom, full of so many medications.
This isn't your ordinary medicine cabinet. It's Dee Dee's personal pharmacy, a large linen closet fully stocked.
She had even written on several of the bottles of Gypsy's medication as if she was writing it for a child. For the anti-seizure medication, it would say, "shaky baby." The organization of the medications was shocking to me because in every other area of Dee Dee's life, it appeared that she had absolutely no organization or cleanliness, except when it came to these medications. It let me know from the very beginning that something here was seriously wrong.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who was serving time in prison for her role in the murder of her mother, has been granted parole and is scheduled to be released in December. In July 2016, Gypsy Blanchard pleaded guilty to murder for her role in the killing of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Gypsy is set to be released on December 28, 2023. By then, she will have served 85% of her 10-year sentence. Prior to her prison sentence, Gypsy spent time in the Greene County Jail, and her time in the county jail contributes to her overall sentence.
This is terrifying footage of an absolutely massive wall of fire surrounding a city in Argentina that started on Monday. 1,000 firefighters are currently battling the flames as it moves towards the city of Villa Carlos Paz. Mass evacuations are currently underway, and emergency teams have been using 8 firefighting planes, 2 helicopters, and have been helped by members of the public using blankets and hoses. A 27-year-old man accused of starting the fire has been detained after reportedly telling the police that he started a campfire to make a coffee and lost control of the flames due to these strong winds. As the situation develops, as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
So on June 3rd, 3-year-old Riker Webb went missing from his parents' yard in Montana and disappeared for 2 days. 2 days in the Montana wilderness. Bears and lions, temperatures dropping below 40, and he was found by a couple at their shelter cabin. And for those of you who are curious, this is a picture of right before he went missing, a couple days before. You can see the difference. This is a really bizarre story. You can see right here, this is where he went missing, and then down here is the area that he was found at that cabin by complete strangers. There's been a lot of conspiracies on how he survived in this area when it's full of bears and lions and temperatures were below freezing that night. For those 2 nights he was gone, it just never added up. A lot of people also wonder, it was 2.5 miles he traveled between location to location before he was found. And a 3-year-old boy being able to travel that far just seems unheard of. With all these theories out there of what could have happened, we should just focus mainly on the fact that he was found, he's alive and well, and he's doing a lot better now. It'll always continue to be a very strange story.
Curtain number 1 is correct.
This TikToker just took his own life on TikTok Live. So this TikToker was known as the Inquisitor 3 here on TikTok, or just the Inquisitor. He had almost 300,000 followers and 3 million likes. He was known for cosplay, dressing up as a ghost, playing guitar, really interacting with his fans. He was only 23-year-old. He was from Italy. And last night he took his own life here on TikTok by using the live feature. He took his own life due to some allegations here online. So apparently what happened was the Inquisitor was having an underage girl edit all his videos for him, or maybe she wasn't underage. There's a lot of speculation with that. However, she kept hitting on him and he kept turning her down and saying no and saying no and saying no. I guess what happened was that she edited one of his videos and it was very well edited, and he ended up saying, "Wow, I love you, I want to marry you." Completely harmless. He didn't mean anything by it. And I guess her and her boyfriend decided to try to get him for grooming minors. So this was her boyfriend. He goes by Tito Is Acting Badly. He actually made his account completely private now. He had almost 1 million followers. I believe he lost some over this. But yeah, these were the people that were pushing the Inquisitor to do what he did. I just really hope that this guy gets punished to the full extent of the law, and that he understands that what he did is extremely terrible, and that the Inquisitor did not deserve this.
If you're a parent or you take care of children, please listen to this. You have not heard about what's going on with Roblox and how people like him are able to interact with children. The man you just saw was named Darius Madelwich. He was arrested for kidnapping an 11-year-old girl that he met on Roblox. She was out of New Jersey. She disappeared from her home on September 10th. This was according to the county prosecutor. Wayne police located the child a short time after she went missing, about 135 miles away. In Williamton, Delaware, a 27-year-old man allegedly contacted the girl while both playing Roblox, which allowed users to program games and play games created by other users, according to the report. He was charged with kidnapping and endangering the welfare of a child. I also heard other things about Roblox, how you can act like you're having you-know-what with somebody else that's playing the game. You don't know if this is an adult or a child. Roblox is very, very dangerous for children. If you are not playing Roblox with your child, I just don't think you should let them on there without your consent, out of your sight, because again, people like him grooming children and kidnapping children. So please be aware. Roblox, other than that, I will keep you guys updated.
You may have seen Megan is Missing, but you may not know the real life story behind it. This girl disappeared, and then a few months later, her friend disappeared. And it's just as upsetting, so viewer discretion advised. Ashley Pond was a popular 12-year-old girl who left to walk to the bus stop on January 9th, 2002. But that evening, when she didn't return home, her mom realized that she'd never even gotten to school that day. People weren't sure if Ashley's disappearance was related to foul play or if she'd run away, because a few months earlier, she'd accused her friend's dad of trying to touch her at a sleepover. And because people suck, she was basically called a drama queen and not taken seriously. Her best friend on the dance team, Miranda Gaddis, got heavily involved in the search. And their dance team even organized fundraisers. But on March 8th of that same year, Miranda then went missing while walking to the bus stop. And this was the same bus stop, so people quickly realized that there was a predator among them and he probably lived in the same neighborhood. And the house nearest to the bus stop was owned by Ward Weaver. His daughter went to school with the girls, and remember when I said Ashley was the subject of gossip? Well, Ward Weaver was the man she accused. And after the disappearance, this man dug a hole in his yard and covered it with concrete. But he was so confident that he even invited the media into his house to see that the girls weren't there. This neighborhood nice guy was exposed as a predator on August 13th when his son's girlfriend called 911. She'd been at their house when Ward Weaver attacked her, and luckily she escaped and called 911. But Miranda and Ashley were still missing. While he was in jail for the attack on his son's girlfriend, the landlord came to visit his property. When the landlord looked up, he saw 5 fly strips completely covered with flies. And knowing that there were 2 missing girls in the neighborhood, the landlord realized he just found them. This is a long story, and the rest of the info will be in part 2.
A teacher has just been killed and several more have been injured in a knife attack at a French high school. The attacker has since been arrested, and according to police, he is a Russian-born Chechnyan and former student of the school where the attack took place. Police also told AFP News that he shouted Allahu Akbar as he carried out the attack, and that he was already on a watch list of people known as a potential security risk in connection to radical Islamism. Now, the attack does come amid rising tensions in France's large Muslim and Jewish communities due to the current conflict between Israel and However, police have said that there is nothing to indicate a link between this attack and the Middle East. But of course, as soon as we know more, I'll keep you guys updated.
No, silly, to dry it. But it exploded, and they were both found dead.
Celebrities rotting in prison. Kellen Winslow II spent 10 seasons playing in the NFL for 4 different teams. In June 2018, 5 years after his career ended, he was arrested for burglary, kidnapping, and some lewd crimes against a woman. He was also charged with a case involving an unconscious 17-year-old female back in 2003, when he was just 19. He was released on bail, but was rearrested in March 2019 after new cases of lewd conduct and battery to the elderly. He ended up with a 14-year prison sentence. He will be eligible for parole in 2028. Rapper Mystical, real name Michael Tyler, had multiple platinum albums in the late 90s and early 2000s. In 2003, he was accused of violating his hairstylist, and in 2004, he was sent to prison for 6 years. In August 2017, he was arrested for crimes similar to before, but after 3 years, the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. In July 2022, he was arrested for battery, domestic abuse, false imprisonment, simple robbery, and just like before, violating a woman. He is being held without bond while he awaits trial. He faces life in prison if convicted.
This photo might have the most disturbing backstory. This is Travis Alexander, and this photo was taken moments before his ex-girlfriend savagely murdered him. In 2006, Travis met 26-year-old Jodi Arias at a Las Vegas conference, and Jodi was beautiful, blonde, and carefree. She was an inspiring photographer, and Travis was a salesman, motivational speaker, and a devout Mormon. When the pair met, they had an instant connection. They started dating, and despite living in different states, they continued their long-distance relationship. However, since the beginning of the relationship, Travis's friends noticed a bunch of red flags in Jodi and grew concerned about Travis's safety, as the relationship between Travis and Jodi became more and more violent and toxic. After 5 months of being together, Travis broke up with Jodi, and after a few weeks, she moved to Mesa where Alexander lived. Jodi began to show up at her ex-boyfriend's house unannounced and let herself in after unlocking the garage door. While this got Travis angry at times, the couple would sometimes become intimate. Meanwhile, Travis had already began dating another woman named Lisa, and occasionally Jodi would try to scare Lisa by knocking on her door and running away. After living in Mesa for about 8 months, Jodi went to her family's home in California. However, Jodi and Travis kept in touch. In 2008, Alexander had planned to attend a company retreat in Mexico with a Mormon woman who he had started dating. He never went to the retreat, and his friend did not hear from him again. After 5 days of no contact, his friends visited his house and found a horrific scene. As it turned out, on June 4th, 2008, Jodi and Alexander were at his house in Mesa. Jodi stabbed Travis 27 to 29 times. Travis's throat was slit along with a gunshot wound to his head. The medical examiner also revealed that he had defensive wounds on his hands. Travis died of blood loss at the age of 30. This was the photo Jodi took of Travis moments before she brutally murdered him. This case is just so brutal and unsettling and may Travis Alexander rest in peace.
The disappearance of this schoolgirl seemed like an isolated case until a terrifying development. On the morning of the 13th of February 2009, Amber Dubois vanished on her way to school. At the time, she was 14 years old and was heading to her high school in California. At 7:10 a.m., some parents reported having seen her walking to school, but at 7:30, she never showed up. She was reported missing that day. That same evening, her mum was desperately trying to think of ways that they could get hold of her or find out where she was. Her mum called her mobile phone provider and got them to reset her password for her voicemail to allow her to access the voicemail. Bizarrely, the next day, Amber's phone was turned on for around 30 seconds. Whoever was accessing it tried to go to voicemail but couldn't, and it was then immediately turned off. Police initially focused the investigation on the mum's boyfriend, Dave Cave. Amber and Dave were known to not get on very well, but Dave denied any involvement. The strain of the investigation and the doubts caused Amber's mum to eventually break up with Dave. Then, the following February, another girl went missing. This time it was 17-year-old Chelsea King, who vanished from the same area. Chelsea had been on a run just 10 miles away from where Amber had vanished. Police scoured the area and disturbingly they found her socks and underwear. The socks were sent off for DNA testing and they found a match. This was registered S offender John Gardner. Police then announced that Chelsea's body was found in a shallow grave nearby. John was charged with R and murder. He was also charged with attempted R of another woman at Lake Hodges months prior to Chelsea's murder. Initially, John denied being involved in Amber's disappearance, but eventually he did confess to knowing where her body was. He took police to a remote area in San Diego where the teenager was buried. He was obviously charged then with Amber's murder too. In court, he admitted the killings. In relation to Amber's death, he said that he was upset about some personal things going on in his life and went out that morning hunting for a victim. He said that he pulled up beside the girl and threatened her with a knife to get her in the car. He was sentenced to life plus 25 years for the attempted R. What this father did to his daughter is sickening, and it was caught on camera. Alicia Mesti was 14 years old. A year prior to her going missing, her dad, Mark, who lived in California, was given custody of her and her brother. The courts had determined that their mum, Roberta Allen, was unfit to be a parent. However, worryingly, Mark had a criminal record. He'd previously been charged with drunk driving, bank fraud, and DV. He'd also been ordered to attend anger management groups. He even spent some time in prison due to substances and violating probation. It's actually shocking that he was given custody of these children. On the 14th of August 2006, Mark's girlfriend Shelley Walker was in town. She got a flight from LA to go and visit Mark. Now, she was intending on picking up Alicia from a relative's house in San Jose on her way from the airport, but Mark actually called her and said that she wouldn't need to. When Shelley asked, Mark explained that Alicia had run away. Shelley was obviously concerned by this and reported her missing. Police believed Mark's story and found no evidence of foul play. When Mark was evicted from his home in December, he actually moved to LA to be with Shelley. 3 years passed with no sign of Alicia and Mark was strangely unbothered. Then in 2009, a huge development. Police took cadaver dogs to Mark's old house. Shockingly, they uncovered human remains. They were then identified as the missing child. Investigators immediately turned up at Mark's house and what they found there was shocking. It turned out Mark was cooking M at his house with Shelley. Shockingly, there were children living there while this was going on. They were charged relating to substances and child endangerment. An autopsy showed that Alicia died of a huge amount of substance intoxication. The reason for this is hideous. Prosecutors stated that Mark had D'd his daughter in order to R her. Disgustingly, there were over 1,000 CSA images on Mark's computer, and horrifically 54 including himself and Alicia while she was unconscious. Mark was also accused of SAing an 8-year-old girl who lived in his apartment and a teenager that he had groomed. The jury was shown a video of Mark sickeningly setting up a hidden camera in the 8-year-old victim's bedroom. He went on to plead guilty and was eventually sentenced to life in prison.
This is the diving face split video, one of the most disturbing videos on the internet explained. The video that I'm about to explain was released onto the internet in July 2009. And around September 2009, the video went completely viral. The video shows a group of teenagers having fun on a summer day. The group is taking turns jumping into the sea from an elevated surface, and it looks like the drop is about 20 feet. The first person to jump off dives into the sea completely fine and unharmed. The second teenager is then ready to jump. He stands over the drop, steadies himself, and then jumps, but as he jumps, he kinda loses his footing and completely slips. And immediately the jumper realizes that he is in deep trouble. In midair, you can hear him panicking as he realizes he didn't clear the clearance he needed to. He then falls into the sea, but his face hits the fishing walkway below, and immediately when this happens, everybody he was with lets out an ear-piercing scream. As the video plays, the victim's unconscious body is floating in the water, and the water around his head immediately turns red. The video then cuts forward and it shows a rescue boat trying to save the jumper, and during this part of the video, the entire sea is completely red with the jumper's blood. The video then jumps again to the victim in the hospital, and at this point you can see the true nature of his injuries. And I'm telling you right now, it's horrible to look at. The victim's face was completely split vertically from the top of his forehead all the way down to his chin. And what makes this even worse is that he's still alive throughout all of this and fully conscious. During this point in the video, you can see the doctor try and hold the victim's face together, and apparently he was doing this to help the victim's breathing, because his face was split in two. Both his nose and mouth were completely destroyed, and as I said already earlier, he was still fully conscious. Despite the injury, another disturbing part about this video is that you can see the victim's eyes darting across the room in complete shock, pain, and panic. One of the doctors can also be translated to saying, "Where do I even start? Where do I even start?" Meaning this injury was so brutal, experienced doctors didn't even have a clue on what to do. The victim then ended up passing away 2 days after this freak accident. I don't recommend you go searching for this video because it's definitely one of the worst accident videos online. This video is absolutely horrific, and may this boy rest in peace.